Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to F1 Manager. This is episode 28. Last time we started the new season, finding that, well, we're kind of slow, but when we actually got into the race, all things considered equal, we have a very balanced, but albeit slower car. And that balance somehow worked out for us, and we pulled a pretty decent result. So in this episode, we're going to be looking to find whether that was a fluke or whether we have decent pace. Because decent pace is all we need right now. It really is. We're still kind of playing the long game of A, keep the job. That's Sargent's role. And B, help Flourish improve. And just slowly, steadily get better and build the infrastructure that will make us competitive eventually. Because that is one of the key components to actually rising up the grid. Turn of the month, driver development. Sargent picks up some cornering. He's at 84 now. That's his strongest other than accuracy. Defending also +1 to a 74. For Flourish, another point in smoothness. I don't even think I'm training that area right now, but it keeps happening anyway. But reactions do go +1, so that'll help her get off the line, and that'll help her get her acceleration going coming out of corners. So both of those will help her. Lap 1, but also general lap time will be improved. Keeping that percentage down to a minimal, using that cumulative, you can see that we dropped to 0% fatigue as we head to Saudi Arabia, and then again we're able to drop to right at 0% as we head to Australia for our 2 race weekends for the month. Otherwise, as we get our full training for the month picture, for one, there is going to be a little bit of fatigue to deal with as we enter the new month when we're not going to be at 0, but I've done a little bit to back off slightly and not enter the month of April totally exhausted, but getting a normal amount of training in following the Australian race. But again, we're making gains in the pit crew attributes, bringing those back along higher than where they were at the end of the season. So that's one area we're going to see fewer mistakes overall over the course of the year. And entering both of those races, the chances of mistake is going to be quite low. What we're looking at with the 21 is higher than what you're at when you're at 0. Not by much. I mean, it's 12.07 versus 12.3. It's a little bit higher, but not significantly. Anyway, that haul for the whole month is definitely a step in the right direction. And again, we're getting just that little bit faster on the pit stop, when and how to kind of make that the main focus soon. I'll kind of want to get everything into the 60s. So Wheel Gun's going to get a little more attention. Jax is going to get a little more attention. But then estimated pit stop time is going to start to be more and more a focus in the future months to bring that on down.
We're here in Jeddah, where the tension is boiling as we head into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The circuit at Jeddah, spread along streets that run next to the Red Sea, is one of Formula One's highest speed tracks. It's a test of skill from start to finish, with cars just millimeters from the walls. Jeddah Corniche circuit is hot and high powered, demanding speed for the straights and a high grip level through corners that are tight to the barriers. Starting tyre choices will be crucial here, with teams ever mindful of opportunities that a safety car could give. The drivers are lined up on the grid here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, preparing for 50 flat-out laps under the lights. I suspect that we'll all be closely following Charles Leclerc in this one.
P3 is a decent starting position, and they should get a good haul of points if they play the race right.
And the time has come. Let's go racing. We're now moments away from this, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And we're racing in the first of what I hope to be 2 races today. We've only underfueled Sargent by a single lap, so he's got a decent start position of P13, battling currently to try to get up to P12 ahead of the Haas of Giovinazzi. That puts, if we can get ahead of Giovinazzi, that puts 3 teams behind us already, plus Magnussen. That is a great position, though it's P13, it looks like, here off the line. Looking for a quick race on this one, though. I don't expect a lot of fireworks. I have gone for the alternate strategy of medium to hard instead of soft to medium. That means that is going to cost us a bit of pace here on the first stint and the potential undercut of others. So preferring that stronger at the end of the race ability to make a push at the end of the race type scenario. Flourish for now, keeping up with Sonoda just fine through the first lap plus. She has underfueled by 2 laps, suspecting that at some point she'll end up a lap down, and that'll make up one of those 2 laps. The overheating is already starting to kick in. Magnussen is just over a second behind, so if we can continue to get that little bit of distance in there, that can really set us up nicely as we're going to back off now. And you could see how as they lift, we suddenly put them under pressure. So yes, I think we are going to be capable of making some overtakes today. But I think the stretch, by time Pourchaire, Giovinazzi, Sargent stretch a little bit, it's going to bring Magnussen back in, and it looks like it already has. The Alfa Romeos, though, moments later, they lose their 1 second. Will they drop back? Up 5. Lock up, flourish.
Things were all right here. Very heavy on the brakes. By
Oof,
that point,
yeah.
it was just too late.
She has recovered. She's okay. Still overheating a little bit, lap 5. Flourish, that dropped her off the back. 4-car battle here. Sargent right in the middle of it. And he's going to come up the inside of the Aston Martin. No idea how it is we had 30% battery when we went neutral, and how now we have 4. And the Haas is blocking us off, and we back up, and it's going to drop us to 4th in the line instead of 2nd. The Haas loses pace, and we get caught behind him. And sure enough, yeah, we have lost the position. No, wait, still battling up the outside. Yeah. Going for the overtake and then having a car losing momentum then come in front of us, and we have to get off the gas, off the throttle, and backwards we go. That's disappointing. Really only changes our race by half a second, but still definitely a negative. Getting back ahead of Giovinazzi, though. Or getting around Giovinazzi, finally, really. Pourchaire, Magnussen, now the 2 ahead of us. Still overheating, though, as we're following these guys, so it's causing some extra wear. But we're not in a bad zone for it. It's just slightly worse than where we should be, and a little bit ahead of Flourish because she had that lockup. We get around Magnussen, so now it's just Pourchaire. So we're 2nd in the line now. Giovinazzi has also dropped off. And we get around Pourchaire and to the front of the group. So we have now come to the front of the group, 1.7 behind Piastri, the Alpine, and we're in P11. Fuel recovery is happening, albeit slowly. We're at 2.2 now. We're at 2.5 when we were making our push just a handful of laps ago. But without DRS, we might be a sitting duck. For now, we hold those guys off. Stroll and Piastri, the only 2 that are even anywhere near us. Big crash. Okay, big crash.
Be careful for debris.
What do we got? What do we have here? Some Alphas. A Haas. Oh, the Haas was looking, the Alpha kind of tucked back in, and then... So yeah, you had an Alpha, you had another Alpha trying to come up alongside him and then deciding to tuck back in. And as he tucked back in, the Haas that was starting to just have a nibble on the outside, he just came in at him. That's De Vries. He picks up the penalty. It's Albon that kind of cut in front of him. Not sure that that's really De Vries' fault. Pourchaire gets back around Sargent. But we finally were able to cool down a little bit, getting out into that clean air. We get back around him, and we're starting to close up on Stroll and Piastri. Just just a second behind. There you go, in DRS range. So that brings us into contention for 9th place now. Giovinazzi's already dropped off. He's 4.5 seconds back. Magnussen is beginning to drop off. And if Pourchaire and I can, close up on these guys and he misses out, we could very easily see Magnussen fall away. And that'll turn our battle into a 9, 10, 11, 12 battle. That's a huge step up from where we were at the start of this race. Now, this 9, 10, 11, 12 battle, all 4 of us on mediums. Sargent looking a little bit better in terms of the management. And you're going to see a lot of guys that are on softs switch to mediums. 6 of the front 8 are. Magnussen, Giovinazzi, that explains a lot on why they're falling away also. Those softs are getting worse as time goes on. And they're going to be switching to a slower medium. Hopefully, that means our race is not going to be with them. Those fresh mediums, though, could give them that track position. So we may yet still see them. They haven't fallen away that much. Giovinazzi a bit more so. So we could see potentially him being the one that is a bit further off. Magnussen, I think we may yet still have a battle with him. Gasly pits. First of the soft runners to head in. Well, other than De Vries and Albon after their collision. De Vries will try to go the distance on those hards. Albon probably is going to end up having to pit again. So Flourish up to P18 for the time being. Into the points for now as cars are pitting. Ooh. And Verstappen just comes rushing out on the track right ahead of our 4-car battle. Pourchaire, he's a little bit further back. He's 8/10ths down. So really, 3-car battle. Flourish is already back down to 19th as Albon has caught up and overtaken her. Her relationship to being a lap down, she's more than a half lap down at this point. So yes, I do suspect that before the end of this race, she will end up being a full lap down. So we won't have to worry as much about her fuel. Though she might have to lift and coast a little. I mean, at this point, my estimation is that we're going to get maybe 0.5 of a kilogram left to cover off. I only underfueled by a single lap for Sargent, but we have done that, bit of push. And we don't know how the softs are going to be on fuel recovery. Obviously, you run a little bit faster on softs than you do on mediums. So if you're running a little bit faster, you're using a little more fuel, so we might not recover quite as well. Loving this battle ahead of me, though, having these 2 guys with me as we use the DRS to get around and up into P5, Piastri, falling back. So we are second in this line now, which is obviously even more ideal than before because that's now a virtual P10. And Piastri really fell away there. He's almost a second down. He is a second down. Could we get him, drop him down? Sainz gets around him. Sainz is going to be way faster. In fact, I'm surprised one of the Red Bulls is even behind us. Even though Piastri's hovering around that 1 second range, that DRS range. Either way, getting Sainz in between us gives us just that little bit of a cushion when it comes time to do our pit stop. All over the back here. DRS coming fairly... Oh, but Sainz is trying to come through. Oh, look at that! Oh, that was the detection zone, though. We're gonna not get DRS. We make the pass, and then we lose DRS, but we're only a 10th ahead, so they're gonna come flying on through. Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. De Vries overtakes Flourish, drops back down to last place. They are, of course, on fresh tires. This time we do get the DRS. Not a great exit, but with the DRS we get a bit of a run. He's parking right down the middle of the straight there and really blocks us off, and we decide not to try to come back to the left. VSC. Pit stop time. It's a little bit early, 2 laps early, but we're going to be under VSC, and this is going to save us time on the pits. We'll see about the accident here in a moment. Gasly's going to be out of the race. He's at 0%, or he's going to have a really, really hard time. So this is not that far behind us, and it's one of the Alpines. That's going to bump us up a spot, and you're looking at, like, Verstappen's already stopped, Norris has already stopped, Russell has already stopped, Sainz Sainz was just here with me. It was Sainz and Gasly who just came together, I think. I'm guessing it's Sainz and Gasly. We'll find out in a moment, but Ocon has already stopped. Magnussen has already stopped. We are going to gain some time over all of those particular rivals, and assuming that everybody else is going to dive off into the pits here, which means we're going to have some traffic. Stroll just ahead of me. Piastri not too far behind. We're looking at just under 2 seconds. I could lose a position to Piastri on this because the game has a tendency to do you dirty like that. And then Pourchaire too. Would we end up coming out behind both of them? That's what we're going to be watching. First up is Florsch, though. And I want to see what happened. Full safety car. Full safety car.
Now I think this, yes, it's Carlos Sainz.
That's going to bunch up the field. And it is Sainz and Gasly. That's 2 cars ahead of us. Sainz at fault here completely. Misses the apex entirely. And the overtake was on. He was well behind at that point.
What that moment meant.
Albon, De Vries both into the pits as well, so Florsch does have some traffic around her. Gasly is out of the race. Sainz should be picking up a penalty. Slow stop. 2.521. Not bad, actually. Really not bad. But come back out in P19. We were definitely far enough behind that that's no surprise. Gasly gets the penalty. Really? Oh man, this game does not understand. Does not understand how these collisions work. Everyone around us is pitting. Except for Norris. Except for Norris. This could be bad for Sargent. We could get caught up in a bit of a melee. 2.62. We're the first ones. We are the first ones. And we wait all that time. All that time. We had plenty of time to pit and exit and come out ahead of both of those guys. That's Piastri who comes out first, by the way. The guy who was last in the group comes out first. P9 now.
Yeah, I
P9. I'll take that. Magnussen behind us is already on 89%.
Copy.
3 guys shortly ahead of us are all on semi-used mediums. Going the distance. And we're battling for points here, folks. Sainz is down to P14 on hards. And avoids a slam dunk penalty. And the restart is on. We're coming around the final corner here. From P9. And we're going to slot right in and already put Stroll under a little pressure. We had a little look there for a second. And we're starting to open up a gap on Magnussen as he's on those mediums, on used mediums at that. So if we can get some separation, we could really be on for that P9. And then, you know, you never know what's going to happen with Piastri and Stroll at the end of this race. Could we be in for some points today? For one, P9 would be our best finish of the series yet. Had a little bit of luck to help us out. You do have Sainz, who is going to be just fine, presumably. He could be carrying damage and off pace, and isn't he on hards? So maybe he won't be coming through the field. Alright, that's 1 lap run. Let's go ahead and settle the tires down. These have got to make it to the end of the race. We did pit a couple laps early. Wow, that was fast.
Copy.
We're going to keep pushing battery-wise. We want to close back up on Stroll. We also want to open that gap to Magnussen. Love to see that group fall off the back. 3 teams behind us. And then it's Gasly, Sainz, Magnussen, Pourchaire are the odd men out. If we can get Stroll, that's 4 teams behind us. That's a heck of a race right there. 9th place is a heck of a race right there. Down the inside on the straight, and no. Stroll ends up getting alongside the Alpine, actually. Little 5-car battle happening here. From 5th through 9th. Down to 114, finally. Inching our way to, okay. 2.7 behind. That gap has increased. Florsch at the tail end of a group that she could maybe get ahead of. We're going to do the same thing. So she's topping up but using fuel to hold position. Florsch has overtaken De Vries. So she's up to P18. Ocon falling off the pace a little bit, losing Stroll and Russell. In a way, that's almost easier for us. 5-car battle. It's going to be hard to make progress amongst that. Suddenly a 3-car battle becomes a little bit easier, as the front car can be a sitting duck. And if you're right... Oh, big mistake right in front of us, and we go forward. We benefit from it. We're up to P7. That was Ocon and Piastri. Ocon and Piastri. Did they come together? It's saying they did. I didn't see it live. Just a touch of wing is all. So Piastri to blame on this one, as he was definitely not alongside. His wing barely makes contact with the right rear, so that's entirely on the Alpine. And we're up to P7. But we just lost Stroll and Russell. Piastri, Pourchaire. Florsch challenging Albon. Piastri, there you go, 5-second penalty. They got this one right. And he's right behind us too. So Florsch up to 17th. Sargent's up to 7th. We're going to burn that fuel to try to get away from these guys and try to get in range of these guys. Second in line is a great place to be. Make that first in line. She's gone around Zhou. Let's watch. Let's see an overtake from Florsch. It's DRS, of course. That was exiting the DRS zone. That's what got her up alongside him. But then through the following turns, finishes the job. But if she can sit second in line for a while and have that little bit of spare fuel left. Sargent has gotten within DRS range of Stroll. And 4 seconds ahead of Pourchaire, who's gone around Piastri, who's probably carrying a little damage to their wing. Lap 46 now. Florsch still right behind Zhou, trying to save that move for late. Trying to set her up for a late move. Big push right at the end to try to get around Zhou like she has just now and get a P16 on merit. Safety car really helped, but on merit, beating 3 cars would be huge for her. And meanwhile, Sargent is in a decent enough position to challenge these guys. You can see, though, as we drift back, we don't have their pace. So it's going to take a big combination to try to go forward. But 2.5 seconds ahead of Sainz, who has come through. So Sainz is still a danger to us. But lap 47, it seems a little late for him to get up here. Just the fuel. I'm not going to do anything else for right now. But can we get ahead of one of them? We're up alongside the Aston Martin of Stroll. No, we're going to tuck back in. And here comes Sainz. Sainz has gotten within DRS range. 3 laps to go. Positions 5, 6, 7, or 8, or DNFing. All still distinct possibilities. Stroll on softs, Russell on mediums, Sainz on the hards. No wonder those 2 faster cars are struggling a little bit. Verstappen leads from Leclerc, then a big gap to Perez and Norris. And then a small gap as we get ahead of Stroll. Yes! Oh, wow. Okay, we're second in line. And now, with DRS, have that perfect position. We're into the final 2 laps.
I think we can reduce lift and coast.
Yeah, copy.
DRS. Looking up the inside, tucking in, and then the Aston Martin squeezing. Wow. Our battery just filled up big time as we had nowhere to go. We got blocked. Now it's just trying to hold off Stroll to keep what is P6. Are you kidding me? Verstappen still holding off Leclerc, who has the fastest lap and is close behind. Norris is holding off Perez at the moment. That's a swap, isn't it, from what it was? Challenging now. Having a look. DRS activated. Switching back. Switching back again. Side by side. Conserve. We've gone around. Go neutral. Oh, no. Balanced.
Look at
Oh, we're back behind him.
lift and co.
We're back behind him. We'll get the final DRS. Can we hang on at least? Sargent P6. Wow, that was interesting, huh? That was interesting. We almost ran out of fuel, ended up costing us the position. We nearly had P5, and then we nearly fell real fast. We got P6 there in the end. Flourish battling with Show. Comes around that final corner, final straight, and that's a P17, so she doesn't get Show in the end. But P17 ahead of DeVries, ahead of Albin. Albin was carrying some damage, but she beat Cars on merit. And Sargent just took P6. We finished P10 twice total, all series long. We had 2 total points last season. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing.
What, they had to work hard for those points today. What a phenomenal achievement that is.
That is 8 points for Logan Sargent. 8. That's 4 times as many points as we have had the entire series, the entire first 2 seasons. That is absolutely massive. Bottas also picks up 2 points, so just keep that in mind. Alfa Romeo also scoring points today, but Alpine helped us out. They had a rough day. Ocon had a rough day. Porsche, Magnussen. We beat Magnussen pretty fairly, but that safety car was well timed. It absolutely benefited those of us who were in need of a pit stop. That came at the right time for half the field. Came at the wrong time for half the field. We were on the right side of that. That helped. That absolutely helped. But problems with cars ahead of us, putting them behind us, holding off Sainz, who's, hard charging through that. We almost got Russell, almost. Really close to a P5, but hey, I'm thrilled with a P6. That jumps Sargent to 7th in the championship in the drivers right now, and that brings us to 5th for the moment. Team's going to be absolutely thrilled with that. We are tied with Aston Martin. We're ahead of Alpine, and then Alfa Romeo. Haas and AlphaTauri have yet to score, and I think we've already just beat them for the season. I don't think Haas and AlphaTauri are going to score more than 8 points this year. Yeah, maybe. One of them might get more than 8 points. AlphaTauri looks like the weak link, though. For the first time, all series long, I'm finally taking the risk and aiming for some performance targets. It's high reward, low risk, and that's kind of the tipping point. And the fact that we've done well in the first 2 races, 12th or better in each, makes me willing to take on what is a minor risk, because the reality of taking all of these guarantees, they're 14th or 15th. Nothing higher than 14th. We've done that in each of the first 2 races, so I'm optimistic that we can continue to finish 14th or better, and therefore the reward of 1.4 million is worth it over the potential loss of 139,000. Big gain, small loss, worth the risk. So I'm finally starting to get into the performance targets gain to start cashing in a little bit extra to help us progress a little bit faster. 3 new upgrades on the way. Designs just started as we entered a new ATR period, and they're big time gains in a couple of them, as I put almost all of our hours into those. But 13.1 million left, and that's with manufacturing of 2 new components that just got designed. The new rear wing on the car, both cars. The new suspension, I think I'm going to wait one more race weekend to bring that on. I have one ready to go, and I don't want to risk that one or what happens if something happens to that one. But new rear wing, 3 new upgrades on the way, a 4th that is that suspension ready in a moment. I'm optimistic right now. Things are looking good.
It's wonderful to be back down under for the Australian Grand Prix. There may be several street circuits on the F1 calendar, but this unique lakeside layout is like none other. High-speed sections snake through the heart of Albert Park, just a few hundred meters from St Kilda's beach. The Albert Park circuit is bursting with rapid corners and a long straight where drivers can push their speed to the limits. Good attention to medium-speed downforce will likely make beating this beast of a track just a little bit easier.
Improved confidence is exceeding what I was thinking. by quite a bit. I was going, hey, we can handle top 14. I don't know if we're going to be in the points, but, 12th, 11th, sure. We made Q3. We made Q3. We got all the way to qualifying 3 and didn't even qualify last in the group. We were ninth. Break down the times a little bit more. And there are some faster cars behind us. Perez, Piastri, in particular. Norris, very close to being equal, but we're faster than those other teams. So, reality, I think we're going to be on the edge of competing for points in this race. 9th, 10th, 11th, maybe 12th. We managed to just squeeze our way into the front end of that group of 4 for now, but and Giovinazzi and the Haas is only just a hair slower. That's top 14 for one thing, and maybe competing for points again today. Maybe.
The fans here in Melbourne are all set, as are the drivers, heading into 58 laps around Albert Park. And as we look to Logan Sargent, you can see the focus and concentration.
They've done well to secure a P9 start, and they'll be keen to convert that into some points.
This should certainly be a good one, folks. Brace yourselves for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
We're racing, but here's the most important thing of all. Florsch. P19, not P20, P19. And not because of a penalty to somebody else. She outqualifies Zhou Guan Yu on merit, on pace. We are getting faster. If she's ahead of an AlphaTauri, even if she doesn't stay ahead, if she's ahead of an AlphaTauri, that's a real sign of progress. We had 8th for a moment with Sargent there, but we're down to P9. 2 laps, of course, of pushing. We're right back where we started. This is, of course, the now new, modern circuit that we saw at the beginning of the year, where they have changed, 2 corners? 3 corners? Essentially removed a whole chicane through here. Straightened that out. Added a 3rd DRS as well. That could be problematic for trying to hang on to a P9 today if we are going to struggle to keep up with them. If we don't get that DRS, we are going to be in a little bit of trouble. But Pourchaire's starting to fall off the guys ahead, and here comes Perez through in the Mercedes. Perez in a Mercedes, as if they would ever hire him.
Copy.
Now, since the beginning, I've not been paying attention to Flores. She is last. She is last. She is right there on the AlphaTauris. If she can hang with them. If she can hang with them today, that would be so awesome. But there you go. Perez gets us. Now, battling for P10. But Giovinazzi is out of range. Barely. Maybe. We drop back without that DRS. If we can get back ahead. Perez might have the pace to pull us up there, and we could comfortably pull away in P10 at that point. And Giovinazzi in the Haas is just a little bit slower, and without DRS, we might be able to successfully get away from him. Go standard. Our race is on the line at the moment. Trying to get a gap on Giovinazzi. I don't need to overtake Perez here. We just need to get that gap on him. I think Perez's pace is going to be better than either Norris or Giovinazzi. Yellow, big crash. Tossing it out for Romeo. We've seen a lot of that, haven't we? Okay, we did underfuel by 2 laps. That's going to be a feature of today. I'm going for a one-stopper with medium to hards. Let's see what others are doing. Their drivers on softs. Softs are not going to get you the distance you need on this race, so there's a lot of cars around me that are probably looking at 2-stopper situations which means they would need to be ahead of us to have some sort of gain, some sort of benefit as we get ahead of Perez temporarily. He and I starting to get into a space all our own, and I don't mind that. I really don't mind that at all. It's just that I don't want those guys behind us keeping up, and they seem to be trying to cover that gap off here. Piastri coming in to make it a trio, 9, 10, 11. If we can at least keep the other guys at bay, that would be big. All right, so lap 12, those on the softs are going to fall below that 60% threshold fairly soon and start to lose some of their pace. Meanwhile, we're 5 seconds behind now, so we've really lost the front 8. They're pulling away. The 2 Red Bulls are also pulling away, and then the 2 Ferraris leading Ocon, Stroll, and Porsche along with Gasly. Our group of 3 is not that far ahead of the other group, so we're only just slowly pulling away from them, and that's quite a few cars. I mean, that's 12th through 15th. There's 4 more cars right there. That's a little worrying. They're giving each other a little slingshot action to kind of keep up with us a little bit. I'd love to see that gap open up, because otherwise our race could still be with them later on. But those on the softs, hopefully, are opting for 2 stoppers. And while we're not going to have great pace on the hards later on, those on the softs need to be ahead of us and pulling away, because they're going to have to cover off an extra pit stop. Now 3.5 seconds ahead of Norris. And Giovinazzi loses him 2.5 further seconds behind. Now that group, 12 through 15, has spread out. That group has spread out, and the gaps are starting to open significantly. You can see how we're all over the back of them. I'm going to conserve for a little bit. Help get this fuel a little bit closer to where it needs to be. I don't know what our situation is with this, but later on I'd rather be able to... He's got the pace. Perez is the one with the pace, not us. So overtaking him is really not doing us any favors. But being heavy, or being light, and not having enough fuel for the end of the race could be problematic. So at least making up a little bit of it right now, while we're all over the back of him, is going to be a good thing. Norris has come through and actually is making some progress. One thing to consider, but how many of those guys are going to opt for a 2-stopper? If 1 or 2 of these, like Leclerc, Porsche, or Gasly, were a little bit closer to us, less than 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, if they 2-stopper, we might have a race with them. We might. Okay, so we've already made up a kilogram worth of fuel. Let's go back to normal. We don't want to get too heavy and suddenly lack pace. We got a yellow. We got a yellow. Porsche runs wide, turn 10. Didn't impact him at all, though. I think he lost 1 second, 1 position. That's it. Or nothing at all. I'm not looking to undercut these guys, so I'm not thinking that it's time. Oh, Florce just stopped. 2.58. Missed it. My bad. Sainz pits, but Perez and Norris both stay out. Perez finally comes through. The longer we can extend, the easier it's going to be later on in the race, and there's no undercut or overcut happening between the 3 of us. Verstappen has caught up to us, but he's already pit. Sargent into the pits. Neither Perez or Norris pit. They both stay out. We've got a yellow. 2.76. Very slow. Sonoda with spin. Back out on track in P12. P12 right now. Oh, Piastri comes through. Wow, we were a full second ahead. Well, not a full. We were 9/10 ahead of Piastri, and he had DRS that brought him that close to us. I mean, we're already up to temperature, but I think he's on a different strategy. He is on a different strategy. In fact, we are the only ones on the hards right now. We are the only ones on the hards. But we are lacking a little bit of pace here on the hards compared to others. And that was something I knew and recognized. But if we are 1-stopping and others are 2-stopping, how much do we gain? How much do we gain? Or guys like Perez, Norris, not pitting and really, really extending and going very slow. Well, one of my lap times compared to theirs now. So I ran a 129. They're running 121, 121 and a half. So we are gaining half a second a lap, roughly, over them. 122 now, 121.1. Norris is going a little bit faster than Perez right now. Has been closing up on him for a while. In fact, just passed him. But we ran a 125. So, again, half a second faster. Oh, come on, Perez, no! We were half a second a lap faster, and he's already ahead of us? What the hell happened for that? I got slowed up for one lap, and I lost that much ground? And there's Norris. Pits a lap later. We are right back with them. They're both on softs. They are both on softs. If we can keep up with them, if they don't pull away from us, one, they're going to drag us. They're going to drag us forward. But if we can keep up with them, those softs are going to fall off before the end of the race. And is everyone going to try to go the distance? We're just the only ones opting for the medium to hards. Everybody else is trying to mix soft and mediums. Albin's clearly not. He's at 48%, and he's going to pit soon. Joe, no way he is. Giovinazzi at 66% would be really hard-pressed to try to go the distance. So there's a few cars, but they're behind us already, and those guys just pulled away really fast. So we are definitely losing out on Norris and Piastri. We're 5 seconds down now, but Magnussen, who was 6 seconds back, is only at 5.5. He's only gained half a second. Bottas, who was 8, is 7. So we are losing very little ground to those guys. 15 laps to go, and what we're losing now is going to turn into gains here at some stage. 15 laps to go, 1.5 kilograms. We are probably going to have to lift and coast again at some point. Florsch is ahead of Albin. Albin just pit again, so there's... Oh, and she's a lap down. Perez and Norris, they drove away from us. It's Piastri who they've gone around and driven away from, and it's Piastri we're coming back at. So them on the softs, they're making it work. But what's going to happen in those final laps? I think we're not going to come back enough. I don't think we have that kind of pace. We're way too far behind. And she's going to come back for the next lap at 15.8. Going to 15.7. So 1.8 per lap. So she only needs to get down to 1.8. She needs 0.5. And we've already just about taken care of fuel there for Sargent. Even after doing some lift and coast there for a few laps, which covered the fuel really fast, by the way. Magnussen still 5.7 back, and we are still closing on Piastri. Around us, Florsch. Ooh, Florsch could be a factor. But it's Piastri. It's Piastri we're trying to come at. Others have found a way to make that medium and soft strategy work. Only a few cars have really ended up settling for two-stopper. Most have done a one-stopper, but an alternative one-stopper to us. The mediums were great. We kept up with cars on the softs. Final lap. Now beginning our final lap. Just over a second behind. Inside a second. Sainz takes the win ahead of Verstappen. And then Leclerc ahead of Russell, Stroll, Gasly. We've got within 0.5, and we close right up on him. But that was the last DRS zone, so...
DRS is currently disabled.
And battery just emptied. We just catch him in the final corners, but it's going to be a little bit short.
I'd like to increase a bit the lag everywhere.
Oh, wow, look at that. A car length.
Maybe checkered flag.
That's okay.
So
P12, just fine. P12 is just fine. No difference, really, on whether we got P11. Piastri, Alpine, that's only one car, so that wouldn't have done anything more for us than what we got. We end up 11 seconds ahead of Magnussen, so we really had the pace at the end. A good 6-second difference, but we lost more than 6 seconds to the other cars. Florsch just 16 seconds down on Albin. Very much in or around almost a competitive pace. We fall to 7th. No big deal. Red Bull's already starting to pull away at the top with Ferrari a clear number 2, and then Mercedes, McLaren, Aston Martin becoming the 3-4-5 battle. Alpine jumps ahead of us by quite a bit. but this is starting to look like our territory. Can we stay 7th throughout the season? I would love to see that. Alfa Romeo, Haas, AlphaTauri, I think we're going to be last year's Haas, who, got 15 points. Can we get to 15 by the end of the year and stay P7 and, see those teams gain a point here or there every once in a rare while and us stay comfortable in P7? That would be a good season for us. That was the objective for the year also, so we'd actually achieve the objective this year. That would be a good year. And as long as we can continually see Florsch grow and the car truly be competitive enough to the point where it is consistently P7 this year and still be able to add to the infrastructure, we're talking about a really good season, really good progress towards where we need to get eventually. We're very much playing the long game here, so I think we're doing pretty okay with that. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Let me see that money. How much extra did we get today? Extra 400,000 for this one. Yeah, that's good. We achieved our objective, and the others, one more race to go. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.